What is it with your generation? And
What do you mean?
Nothing. When I was younger, we didn't need breath work. We were always breath working. We were just always breathing.
You weren't actually.
No, we were.
No.
So I can make fun of it. I mean, I do make fun of it. I think it's kind of funny, but there is some merit to it. What I like about it isn't the breath work itself. I like the fact that the concept has taken the complexity in the world and reduced it down to its most simplistic function, which is breathing. So from that perspective, I think it's good.
Yeah.
What I think is strange is that society requires this. Society needed to be reminded to go back to the basics and just learn how to breathe again.
Yeah, of course. I think with the rapid evolution of the world and
You think?
society, not I think, you see, we're just talking about how I need to eliminate the words I think and out of my vocabulary. It's really holding me back.
Well, the difference is when you say I think, you're stating an opinion, and when you eliminate I think, you're stating what you feel to be as fact. You don't have to point out that because a lot of the times, sometimes it's necessary to say I think.
Right.
Like, for example, if I was to say, I think the distance from here to the moon is 20,000 kilometers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the case. I don't know that that's the case, but right. I think that that's the case, right? Whereas if I knew that the distance from here to the moon was 20,000 kilometers, I would say the distance between here to the moon is 20,000 kilometers. When you're making statements that you know to be fact,
yeah,
or that you feel very strongly about, if they're qualitative statements, for example, like content creators need to create a lot of content at scale in order to succeed, then it's okay for you to state that fact, because in the context of you who's saying it as a professional content creator.
That's what I believe in. I get it.
You don't have to say, I think you should create a lot of content. It makes you sound unsure and less professional.
I agree with you. But back to our conversation about the fact that we require to go back to basics. Yeah, because with how much we've evolved, we are now so far removed from these basic elements that now it's all back to that. Like, we've already made the progress. We're now reaping the benefit of the progress, but there's also a lot of health implication of that progress, right? People are on autopilot, people are rushing, people have the wrong values. So kind of going back to basics with breath, meditation, all these things help to create a generation that can now reap the benefits of all that progress, but also be in touch with their own humanity.
There's an endless amount of unnecessary complexity in the world and in businesses. So there's a lot of unnecessary complexity in the world. Bringing things back to the breath is a good idea. Mm-hmm. I'm even tempted to say I think is a good idea, but I correct myself. So bringing the attention back to the breath, which kind of goes around all of these unnecessary complexities. So I believe that it is a good idea, this breath work. I just find it strange that it has to become this movement for people to just sit down and relax and breathe, although I do think it's important.
I mean, I didn't realize how little I breathe until I've learned to do breath work. And I don't do it even consistently.
The first time I did breath work, I kind of walked away with the same feeling I did with that whole feather tickling fiasco, in the sense that I thought it was kind of stupid. Now I don't think it's stupid, but back then I did. And the reason is because you lie on the floor, you close your eyes, you breathe in deep, you hold your breath until you're about to die. And then even harder, you exhale and you hold your breath, which is very difficult. Mm-hmm. And then when people leave, they say they experience this euphoria beforehand, and then they feel this feeling of, I don't even know what you want to call it afterwards when they leave. And they're calling it this mystical awakening, and something happened during the breath work. Yeah, what happened during the breath work is you denied your brain of oxygen. So when you deny your brain of oxygen, then you're going to feel all these things. It's basically your body trying to stay alive. It's the same thing when you drink alcohol. You're fending off the poison. It's your body's reaction to the poison. So of course you feel a certain way. But people tend to believe that there's something more. There's this spiritual awakening. You're literally just denying your brain of oxygen.
I don't think that, from the people I spoke to, that's actually never been the case of breathwork being the spiritual awakening. The spiritual awakening breathwork was part of what brought their spiritual awakening, but it's only because of that constriction of oxygen to the brain that just created a different way of the brain to operate. The body feels exhilarated. All these things are firing up once you bring in the oxygen. plus all these other modalities they did, that was the...
I think one day there's going to be like a baseball bat therapy where people smack each other in the head with a baseball bat and then they see stars and then...
Well, there's now retreats of women going to the woods and like screaming their heads off.
Yeah, because they're mad at their husbands.
No, it's nothing to do with the husbands. It's different kinds of stuff in there. It's nothing to do with husbands. What about childhood trauma? What about like... There's enough to scream about.
Yeah, but they blame the husbands in the end anyway, so what's the difference?
I don't think that the husbands are a big part of the equation. Okay, so I brought you here today because I wanted to sit down and talk about finance. I want to talk about money, but money in the context of marriage and relationship. 2 or 3 episodes ago, I had Nicole Lapin, who is a big finance girl. She's,
you just call her a finance girl?
A finance girl, because I don't really know. She's like a finance expert, I guess, so, but she's also...
First of all, I'm a little offended.
A content creator. Yeah, why?
First of all, why do you have to call her a girl? You're demeaning her. You're trivializing her. You're calling her like a girl. Why didn't you say girly? Second of all, why couldn't you say a finance expert? Why do you have to bring her gender into it? Why is it important that you pointed out that it's a woman? Why? I don't understand.
I don't know. I don't have time for this, okay?
Exactly.
Let's cut the complexity out of here, okay? Let's go back to basics.
You just really showed your true colors. You showed who you really are.
She's just being silly right now.
I understand.
Nicole,
but let me ask you something, and then we'll move on.
Yeah.
If it was a man,
I would do a finance dude.
You
a
really?
Finance bro.
No, you would say a finance expert. That's what you would say. You would say a finance expert. That's what you would say.
I wouldn't say a finance bro.
You would not say a finance bro.
Okay, Nicole Lapin was on the podcast, who is a finance expert, girly, and she also has the Money Network. She is so sharp, and we started talking about just the whole aspect of money within a relationship.
Is she looking for a man in finance?
She has a man. I don't think he's in finance, but she's in finance, so it's kind of
6'5", or does he have blue eyes?
Probably, yeah.
Okay.
Can you sing the song?
No.
Okay. So we were talking about the financial independence and financial interdependence in a relationship. I think that I think that there's a lot of conversations right now with young women in relationship trying to navigate the whole financial aspect, because money is something you have to talk about, something that's uncomfortable to talk about. If you're getting into a marriage, is something that you have to talk about, and not a lot of people know how to navigate that topic.
I think listen.
And we are no finance experts over here.
No, we're not. I just think it's a very complex thing for women. I think as a woman, and I say I think because I'm not a woman, but I believe that as a woman, it's a very tricky situation, because you find yourself where you don't want to feel like you're relying on the man and you're not contributing. You also don't want to put yourself in a risky situation that if your man decides to leave you, then you're left with nothing. That would be terrible and unacceptable. So it's a difficult thing. And I believe that a lot of women struggle with feeling that they don't contribute because they equate contribution strictly to financial. And in a marriage, that's definitely one of the currencies of marriage, but it's not all of them. And, spending time with children,
building a home.
Yeah, just building. There's an ocean of other things that are important. Money's one of them, but women seem to get fixated that they have to bring in a certain amount of money, and they start comparing themselves to a man.
Well, I think that first of all, a lot of us carry that from childhood, to be honest with you, and that's why I wanted to sit down and talk to you and kind of dissect our situation, because I don't want to talk hypothetically or too broad about this topic. I want to bring examples from how we navigated that within our marriage and relationship.
We didn't navigate shit. There's nothing to navigate.
No, we did navigate shit
maybe you navigated
in the beginning. I did. So
I didn't.
I'm sure you're gonna learn actually a lot of things that you didn't know based on our conversation today. So when we started dating, I was 20 years old. You were 38. Mm-hmm. You were definitely...
You're still 20 years old. Look at you.
I am. Thank you. You've definitely been making money, and you had your businesses, you had a way longer runway at building your career than I did. I was modeling and I was making good money, sufficient money.
Why would you even say that? What's the difference? Again, you fall back into this position. Maybe you're doing it subconsciously, where you have to justify the fact that when we met, I had money. It's because I have 18 more years of working than you. But so what? Who cares who has the money? What's the difference?
No, I'll tell you, because it's relevant to our conversations.
Okay.
We're talking about money here. Okay, I have to tell you a secret. Over the weekend, Gary was away. I didn't have any help. And my kids were like, okay, dinner time. And the last thing I cared to do was figure out dinner. This is where our next sponsor come into place. Nurture Life saved the evening. I got my brownie points as a mom because the meal was delicious, but also didn't have to think about it, so it was enjoyable for all of us. Nurture Life is a meal delivery service focused on helping busy parents, or honestly lazy parents, because I'm one of them once in a while, makes it easy to feed the babies and kids from 10 months old to 10 years old. The delivery service provides fresh meals and snacks that are delicious, nutritious, and fully cooked. That means that all you need to do is pop them in the oven to warm it up, and it's ready to go in literally a minute. I popped into the oven mac and cheese with a little chicken nuggets and some green peas for Maxie, and knowing that there are veggies inside, that it's made in a very intentional way, made me feel so much better about myself. So it's no surprise why Nurture Life is the top meal delivery service for babies and kids, and it is even allergy friendly too. So beside the weekends where I don't care to do any kitchen labor, I also know that school is starting up and I do need the extra help in the kitchen. Nurture Life saved me a lot of stress. The meals arrived quickly and each one of them was so delicious and easy to serve and didn't require me bribing the kids at all. All meals are designed by registered dietitian, so I know we're giving our kids food that's good for them, and that means I can focus on all my other responsibility, or honestly just rest. Rest is good enough for me, and I don't need to worry about what's for dinner. It's about time that a flexible meal subscription existed for babies and kids. So head to nurturelife.com to use code Valeria for 55% off your first order. That's right, 55% off. Once again, that's nurturelife.com for 55% off, and make sure you use my promo code Valeria so they know I sent you. So when I came into the marriage,
When you came into the marriage?
Yeah, is that how you say it?
I don't know, but you make it sound like there was already a marriage and you just hopped on like we're
Just knock on the door. Hello, can I come in?
Like we're polygamists. Like I had another wife. Oh, you want to come into this marriage? All right, let's go. Hop in. Let's go. Let's party.
So when we got together, I was financially independent, but in a very childish way.
In a very superficial way.
Very superficial way, because I was making money, I was spending money. I didn't really think about the future.
Well, we still make money and spend money today, so.
No, I know, but for me, I wasn't really thinking about it. To me, money was just, a way of kind of survival. There was not any education or planning at all.
You were so bad with money.
You were so bad with money.
Yeah. When we first started dating, I remember we were in New York.
Yeah.
I came to see you in New York. You were still living in New York. And my mom came with me. And you were leaving and you were hopping into a cab, because I don't think there were no Ubers at the time. Mm-hmm. You were hopping into a cab. And I kind of asked you, and you're 20 years old. I'm like, how much cash do you have on you? And you said, I don't have any cash on me. You don't have any cash on you. I go, you're going to the other side of the world. You don't have any cash on you? You said, no, I don't have any cash on me. I said, well, what if your credit cards don't? You have a credit card? I think you had like one credit card.
A debit card.
You had a debit card. I go, you have a debit card? You don't have credit cards? You don't have cash? Nothing? No. And you're just going to the other side of the world like it was nothing. And I remember I gave you a bunch of cash and I was just like, stop doing that. But the funny thing is you're the same way today. We were just in LA and we were going out. You didn't take ID with you. Like you don't even take ID with you.
Babe, I like the adventure. I like the,
listen,
I left home.
You have kids.
I left home at 16 and I started traveling the world, and the kind of stories that I have, situation that I got myself into because of being irresponsible and young and silly, those are some amazing stories. And there was always a way out. I always figured it out.
What's your excuse now?
Just to figure it out. First of all, today it's if I don't have my wallet, I have Apple Pay. I have Zelle. Like, we'll figure it out. It's not a big deal. So back to my story.
Yeah.
Obviously,
story.
based on the examples that you brought up right now, obviously money didn't really mean anything to me, and I didn't really understand it.
You were running from it because you had negative. You had
very negative connotation, but I was earning it, so I was just like, it's fine. It just flows, right? It's gonna come, it's gonna go, whatever. We got married. You really introduced me to a whole other side of adulthood from the beginning, which is something I very much appreciated about a relationship. From the beginning, you always been open and very educational with me when it comes to business and money and finance and how we structure things. It was always like us together, even though...
But a lot of the times I was chasing you to tell you these things because you didn't want to hear them.
Yeah, I was too busy living in La La Land.
You literally do it now, but okay. Sometimes.
No, now
you're
I'm
better now.
Now I'm immersed in as much as I want to be immersed, but I am aware of what's going on in our lives. Definitely wasn't at 20, or 21. So you were very educational and you taught me a lot about money, and I started understanding and looking at it in a different way. But I have to say that I was very uncomfortable with being at home, not earning any money, or at least like stable money. I was still doing modeling here and there, and you were making money. It made me feel very uncomfortable. It made me feel uncomfortable because I come from a background of seeing my mother always not being taken care of. You know what I mean? Like
your mom, the same thing happened to your mom as happened to my mom, is that she was questioned for every nickel she spent.
Yeah, she was questioned for a nickel she spent. And my mom worked her whole life, but she was always, if she bought something, she'll have to hide it. She would spend in like different kind of sneaky ways, so there won't be any issues. Like money was always a big conversation piece in the household. So I knew that, yes, you weren't the kind of person that will question me about how I spend money, but I didn't know. I didn't know when it's going to come up, if it's going to come up. And that really scared me. And in the back of my mind, although I was, making our home and having children and supporting you when you were going through your business journey, I still felt like I have to cover myself, like build some kind of a security for myself.
Cover yourself in case if I bounce.
In case if you bounce, in case if there's going to start, question coming up of just like, oh, why did you buy this? And where did you spend this? And I was just, it was always in the back of my mind.
Yeah,
it always
but it was
scared
silly
me.
because it wouldn't have mattered. It wouldn't have mattered if you were making money, you weren't making money. It wouldn't have mattered because if you went and you bought yourself something silly like a $20,000 pair of shoes, regardless of how much money you make and how much money I make, which those two terms I don't like in general.
Yeah.
No matter how much money we make collectively, I would still question you about it, just like you would question me if I went and bought like another crazy motorcycle.
Yeah, but then when you question someone that also earns money, my way of dealing with it would be different. Like the confidence level and the way I speak and the way, like I would come from a different place.
But if you were to turn around then and say to me, well, I made the money, so I'm going to spend it, that would have been a problem for our marriage.
Yeah, no, 100%. I agree with you. And that was always, listen, what you're talking about is logic. I didn't use logic. To me, it was more these thoughts and these worries came from something deep inside of me that I didn't even know I had. So like most of us, I am always out there looking for nutritious options to add to my daily routine. And I can finally say that I found one that checks all the boxes. It's convenient and it's not expensive. And that's why I'm so excited to present our next sponsor, Orgain. Guys, Orgain is not just any brand. It's truly a leader in real protein-powered nutrition. And I think they cracked the code on making food that's both good for you and tastes amazing. What I love about them is their commitment to real nutrition that doesn't sacrifice flavor. Their founder, Dr. Andrew Abraham, left his medical practice to create Orgain, driven by the belief that nutrition can and should genuinely improve lives. So my first interaction with the brand was actually when I was in nutrition school and I was looking for a protein powder. Now, as you guys know, anything that is packaged goods or any of those wellness packaged products, it's a slippery slope because a lot of the words and a lot of the marketing is not regulated. So you really need to know how to read labels to understand what you're consuming. That is how I found Orgain originally. And you guys know that you've been following me on social media. I'm at the gym. I'm trying to build muscle. So I've been on this constant protein endeavor. And that's why I found my way back to Orgain. They have a 30-gram protein shake and it is delicious. So between meetings and podcasts and shooting content, I don't always have time to sit down and have like a full meal. So having those protein shakes stocked up in our fridge is the best way for me to get my quota and move on with my life. Their shakes have 30 grams of protein designed to satisfy all of your cravings. It supports muscle recovery, and the best part, only 1 gram of sugar. Orgain 30-gram protein shakes are available at Costco and Orgain.com. If you want to get in on the delicious protein-packed nutrition today, head to Orgain.com/Valeria and use code Valeria for 20% off your order. Once again, that's Orgain.com/Valeria for 20% off, and make sure you use my promo code Valeria so they know I sent you.
From my perspective, when you marry someone and you're intimate with them mentally, physically, you have children with them, your lives are so intertwined, and the aspects that are connecting you are so deep that, to me, to then say, well, money is the thing that's going to divide you, it's just strange to me. It's just counterintuitive to me, because you have mental and physical intimacy. You have children together. You've gone through the process of having children together. Like you were together in the delivery room when your mutual child, which is 50% of each of you, like came out and entered the world. And then afterwards, one partner is going to say to the other, whether it's the man or the woman, is going to say to the other, hey, why did you buy this thing? Like, to me, it just seems so foreign, and maybe that's just the way I am.
It is the way you are.
But it blows me away when I hear about couples, especially once they have a family, especially once, like, you and I have been through a lot. Like, in addition to all of the things that I just mentioned, we've just been through a lot of ups and downs, and and we continue to go through a lot and do a lot, and it's such a trivial thing. And when a man questions a woman about money and like, why did you spend that? Why did you do that? It's not about the money. It's something else. It's another deep-seated insecurity. And women need to look at that man and not take it personally, because what he's upset about is it's something on the inside of him. And you know what? I'll tell you something. Men who perceive themselves as high earners, who feel that they earn a lot of money, when their wife goes out and makes a purchase, they likely won't say anything. Number one, because they have the money. Number two, because they have the confidence to cover it all. Whereas if a man feels like doesn't make enough and his wife spends it, he's lashing out at her for spending the money because it makes him anxious that she's spending this money because it's hard for him to make it. When a man says that to a woman and he questions her about money, it's a reflection of his own insecurity. Not of anything she's doing wrong.
Which is not just on the man, by the way. I think that it takes two to make it work, right? If you are building towards something, some kind of financial independence, some kind of financial goal.
Again, you mean individually? Financial independence individually.
To get interdependent together as a family, as a unit, as a couple. Obviously, it takes two to contribute to that.
Sure.
So. But in our case, it's just something that's always been in the back of my mind. My mom always told me, you need to have your own bank account. You need to have your own money. You need to make your own money.
Which you don't have your own bank account. Just for the record.
And by the way.
Or you do. Maybe you do. I don't know.
No, I don't. And by the way, I still think about that. It still comes up to me once in a while.
That's offensive to me.
It has nothing to do with you.
What do you mean?
It doesn't come up for me because I think about, based on like, something within our marriage. It comes up for me when all these old beliefs systems sneak into my consciousness. You know what I mean?
I understand, but from the day that we met, I never made you feel that you are less than me in any way because I'm the one coming in at the time that we got together, that I'm the one coming in with some kind of money and financial stability, and you're not. I don't believe I ever said or did anything to make you feel that way.
No, you never did. You never did. And I think that's why it was easier for me to kind of process that and go through my own questioning, because I couldn't really put it on you that I feel this way, that I feel like I'm incompetent because I'm not making money. So I knew that I needed...
Competence was never a question for me.
I know, but for me it was. And I'll tell you, it very much like also was a reflection of the time in society, right? Number one, I wanted to do something else beside being at home.
But you had that choice. So
I had that choice, 1 second. And then it was also during the era of just like the girl boss era, you know? And I'm like, I want to be that person. I want to be bringing money. I want to build something. There was a lot. It was also me proving to myself, like, I can do it all. I'm a superhuman. I need to make money. This is like what's going to...
If tomorrow I started something on the side that had nothing to do with our current business, which our business and any derivative businesses, they come from your social media. That's what we do. I mean, the real estate stocks are different, but if I were to completely do something independent, let's say for example, creator method. Creator method is something I went off and I took the initiative. I did it on my own, and of course I use your personal brand. We use your personal brand. We leverage it. If I was to come back and say, hey, do you think I would ever say, I made us X amount of money by doing this project? Do you think I would ever say something like that? That I made this money for us? I'm not trying to be a hero here.
I don't know, because I don't look at it as a negative thing. I made this money for us.
To me, it is a negative thing.
Why is it a negative thing?
Furthermore, if you were a homemaker, if you were at home with the kids, and I went off and I had a really good year and there was a bunch of money made, I wouldn't come home saying, hey, I made all this money. It would literally be, we made all this money, because I wouldn't have been able to do it, and men can't do it. If in the case where they're married, they can't do it without the support of their woman, of their woman.
I 100% agree. And we have...
Especially if they have kids.
Yeah, and we've seen many cases of, our successful friends that sold their businesses, building it for years and years and years. And I've seen the sacrifices that the wives had to make and the kind of load that they had to take on in order to make it happen. So I agree with you. But for me, it was something in the back of my mind. When we started Valeria Inc., when we started growing it as a business, when you came in and really saw the potential, and we started to make money off of it, it really, really helped me to feel more confident, but also more rooted in our relationship. And again, it's a me problem, not a you problem.
So just so you know, when we started this whole thing, I would beat myself up over the fact that you were working. I do it much less now because it's something that I went through. And I said to myself, because when you and I got together, it literally didn't even cross my mind what you would do from a money perspective. Like it's not like I sat and I thought, oh, she's going to be a stay-at-home mom and raise kids, or she's going to go and, I don't know, have some kind of a business, or she's going to go work at a job. It didn't even cross my mind. Like I didn't even think of what you'd be doing. And I don't know if that's a normal thing. I don't know. When I look back, sometimes I ask myself, wow, like that's a pretty impractical thing to think like what your partner is going to be doing. And so it didn't even cross my mind. And to me, the difficulties that I had when I saw how much you work and how much you still work, and I feel bad that you have to work as much as you do. One of the things that made me feel better and continue to make me feel better is what it's doing for you as a person. Because, and I remember I once said to you something along the lines of, is there anything that you know about me that would lead you to believe that I would allow you to not live up to your full potential? I remember saying that to you.
Yeah, I remember.
And that's the case. And I won't do it.
Yeah.
I've said it before. I won't do it. I won't. If I see that there's an area for you to put something, like to put effort into something, for you to accomplish something for yourself, I'm going to make you do it. And yeah, to everybody who's listening who's getting mad and triggered when I say I'm going to make you do it, I'm your husband and I'm going to make you do it.
It's actually quite astonishing to me how many people get triggered when they see our dynamic at times.
Because they're sexist. And I'll tell you why. Sorry, I apologize for interrupting, but I want to get this thought out. They're sexist because if I said to you, I'm going to make you do this to realize your own like potential, and for you, I'm going to make you do this, people get triggered. Women get triggered. If you were to say in a group of women, let's say, I made my husband get off his ass and go do something. I made my husband, I made him start that business. When I was there, I pushed him to work harder. No, not one woman in the room would be pissed off. Every woman would say, you go, girl. Girly.
Yeah. Girly.
Say, you go, you did.
That's true. You know
true.
what? You're right.
I know.
You're right.
Yeah, I am right. That's one of the things I think that's messed up in society is this double standard. It's unnecessary. So yeah, I will own that. And I will say, I made you do it. I make you do it. I push you. Now that being said, when you're at a point where you're just like, listen, when I feel like you're,
when they give you the stare,
when I feel like you're about to like, it's going to get real. I know I'm getting better at learning how to back off.
I appreciate that. But yeah, when we started making money together and in this business, it made me feel really, really good. I felt very accomplished that I was able to contribute financially. But then the whole thought and the conversation about money just kind of went away from my head. Like I didn't.
It may have gone away from your head, but it was never in our relationship. You and I never had.
No, it was in me within a relationship. It was there. You just never.
Yeah,
I never
but
spoke about.
I find that offensive.
Yeah. Well, remember that time
with the shoes?
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, that was a reaction of this deep-rooted like hurt that I had about money, so for those of you who, obviously you don't know, this was, I think we shared it one time.
Shared it a couple of times. We've discussed this.
But there was an incident where Gary and I were shooting a vlog and we're sitting in the car and we came from a photo shoot and I brought all my stuff and shoes and whatever. And
you literally didn't bring all your stuff because that would have taken a couple of trucks.
Right, but I brought some of my items. And Gary in the car while we were vlogging, he's like, "Oh, what were those shoes?"
No, that's not what happened. We were on the set. We were living in Toronto. We were on set. We were filming, and I saw a whole bunch of shoes on the floor.
Oh yeah.
That you were, I guess, going in and out of your shoots for your editorial. And I saw a pair of shoes I didn't recognize. I'm like, "Hey, what are those?" And you lost it on me in front of our staff too. I was like, what are you doing? Yeah. And then in the car, I said to you, like, what the hell? And then I turned on the camera and I said, let's record it. We actually made a sit down vlog. We should probably link to it somewhere in the description. Yeah. We made a sit down vlog talking about it.
Yeah.
It was baby Gary and Valeria.
It was.
I was very pudgy, had a round face. Yeah.
Cutie pie. But yeah, it was such an interesting thing because it triggered me so much that I reacted so strongly. And when we sat down and you asked me about it, I realized that had nothing to do. Again, no logic in there. It activated something within me that was just like, needed to come out.
Whatever, I'm a patient guy.
You are so patient. God bless you. But anyways, the way we've been moving around in our marriage and with our financial planning in our family has been really interesting. Do you feel like we approach it in any like unique way?
Well, I just think we're maniacs. I think we're not very logical when it comes to what we do. We take a lot of risks. Because our business and our life is so tied together.
Yeah.
We take risks. Like moving to Miami was a big risk. Like the cost and the continued cost to move to Miami, the legal fees, the moving everything.
But you see, I can't imagine if we would have done that and I wasn't working or contributing financially. That would have been a big problem for me.
We wouldn't have done it because there would be no reason to do it.
But hypothetically, because I wanted to move to Miami and you wanted to move to Miami too. There was a logic in there.
There was a logic, but despite all of the reasons to move, if the business case wasn't there, I probably wouldn't have suggested it. It may have eventually happened down the road organically, but Why are you surprised?
But that's what I'm trying to tell you, that any decisions that we make today as someone who is contributing financially to the family, I don't beat myself up over.
I just try not to do, look, I mean, the way that we do it is we take a lot of risks, and I try as much as possible not to do stupid things. Like this t-shirt is a stupid thing. I bought this t-shirt before I smartened up.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of like, it's a nice t-shirt. It fits very well. The
Right.
material's great. But like this whole thing here, like whatever, I could do without it. I actually settled for this t-shirt this morning. I was looking for a plain black one. They're all in the wash. So I just took this one. And so now I'm sitting here with this big logo. And I like the brand. Don't get me wrong. They're great.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's necessary for me to have a t-shirt that costs as much as this t-shirt does. So I feel like where I've evolved financially and us as a family is we're now less about kind of these outward displays of wealth and affluency. And we're just more practical in our spending. We're spending more on stuff that truly feeds our soul versus stuff that people typically do for external validation.
Did you feel the shift in our relationship when I started to make money? Because I made a outfit of the day reel and I was talking about it. I asked people the question, my community, which is mostly women, the question of did they feel the shift in their relationship when they started making money or more money than their partner?
Yeah, and I took a little bit of offense to that and I pointed it out to you. And you said we would talk about it on the podcast.
Yeah, so tell me what offended you.
We are. It just offended me that you said when I started making money. What's your question? Your question is, why did it offend me?
Yeah, why did it offend you?
I don't know. It's just not a statement that I would make. It's not a statement that I would make. You know what it offended me in the same vein is when you refer to our kids as my kids.
Okay, fair.
It's like that. Like, what do you mean they're my kids? What does that even mean? What do you mean my kids? They're our kids.
What do you mean your money?
I don't even say that shit about our kids when you're not around. Like if I'm talking to someone and I'm referring to our kids and you're not in the room, I say, yeah, our son. Oh, he's our son. To me, and it's not because I'm trying to be polite to you. It's that for me, deep down mentally, those boys are our boys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That money is our money.
Mm-hmm.
But that money was our money even before it was your money. Right. There's money in there that at a time was my money.
Yeah.
But as soon as like that shift happened, when I decided that I want you to be my wife, and you accepted, that's it. Even before we got married, it was all ours. So whenever you make statements, oh, it's my this or my that, and you're like kind of, I am an independent woman kind of vibe that you're putting out, it bothers me because again, it's something that I feel you need to do simply because you're a woman. But as a man, I don't have that insecurity. So I don't need to start claiming our shit and saying, oh, this was my son. It's not my son. It's our son. I mean, you were there. I was there. You know, I saw him come out, like all three of them. It's our son. I don't know why so when you make those statements, like it's my kid or my money, I made this money, it's just like silly to me.
I don't do it often. Don't make me sound
it's not a matter of often. It's not, I'm not, Valeria.
It's the mindset you're talking about.
I'm not offended. It doesn't offend me that you may be saying that and how other people will perceive what you're saying.
Yeah.
That doesn't really offend me. That's just an annoyance more than anything else, but it's not like offensive. What I find offensive is that you have this mindset of, oh, I did something. You're trying to like make claims. You're striving for this independent. I did this. It's my kid. It's my money. It's just not necessary.
I do think that it's a reaction that I have just from what I've observed growing up. And I think I never really dived into it too much to rewire my brain and like my mindset about it.
I'll tell you something.
And it's not an excuse.
No. Again, I'm not here to give you shit. Whatever. I'm pointing. We're talking, right? So
yeah,
we're talking. So I'm telling you how I feel, right?
Of course.
But like, I look at things in absolutes. You know how like in our work and in anything, I'm not into the bullshit. I'm not into the details. I'm into the like end thing. Like, talk to me about the goal. Talk to me about the end game. And then based on the end game, I kind of make decisions. But I operate. My mind works in the macro. I don't do well in the micro. Like working in the micro on the details. I have to push myself to do those things. I don't enjoy doing that. I work in the macro. So to me, in the macro, I would lay down my life for you and the kids. Like I wouldn't have to think about it. Like if I see like somebody with a gun, that's it. I'm getting in the way. Like if there's a bus, whatever coming, I'm pushing you guys out. I'm taking the bus. Like to me, it's like in my instinct. So
Yeah.
when you then, something as silly and trivial as when like a statement is made, like it's my money, how could I say something is this is my money when my entire existence and my life is based on protecting you and the kids, and then I'm going to say this is my money? It just sounds silly to me.
Okay, so let's talk about prenup. So before we got married,
Yeah.
you came to me. I remember that conversation because you were so.
Don't say I was nervous, because I don't remember myself being nervous.
You were nervous. You were actually kind of nervous.
Really?
Yeah, you were nervous and you were uncomfortable.
I don't remember.
And I'll tell you why. You came to me and you said, we need to talk about a prenup. That was at a point in your career where you were about to sell.
None of that matters.
Your business? What are you talking about?
None of it matters.
What?
Because it wouldn't have made a difference. The business was sold before you and I actually got married. So it wouldn't have made a difference. Because the way that the law works is that anything that two individuals have before they go in, they get it back. Any increase in the family's net worth, besides the matrimonial home, that gets split.
Yeah.
I wasn't in any real danger financially by marrying you, because I had acquired those assets prior to marrying you.
Correct, but there was another round of acquisition that you were planning for.
Sure.
So the prenup was that. So it was on your end.
It wasn't that, but okay. Yeah.
It was also on your end, like people from
right. What it was,
Mm-hmm.
and I still think it's a good idea. What
I
it
think
was
it's a brilliant
is that my board
idea.
of directors at that time came to me and said, we need to see this, because I owned a very large part of that company.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, we need to see this because we don't want to have to deal with quite frankly, your 20-year-old wife right? Because look how they saw it. I'm the CEO of this company, and I'm marrying a 20-year-old girl, right? Yeah. After I cashed out the first round. So they're looking at me, they're all getting together, they're talking to each other. They put in over $30 million. They invested into that business.
Yeah.
So yeah, if I'm them, I'd be calling and saying, hey, dude, it's cool that you want to have a young, beautiful wife, but you better go get a prenup. And so yeah, that was something that they initiated, but I would have done it either way. And the reason I would have done it, and the reason why people need to get prenups, is because, there's a saying, is that if you want to have peace, you need to be prepared for war. And what that means is that at both sides, and whenever there's the possibility of a future conflict, it's like any other contract. You have to have a contract. You have to have something outlining the terms and that people agree to beforehand. And not only is that essential for the breakdown of a relationship, whether it's a marriage or a business relationship, whatever it may be, not only is it essential to govern what happens when a relationship ends, but during the relationship, during the good times, it gives peace to both parties, knowing that, what if they have a disagreement? What if a man and a woman have a disagreement? And now all of a sudden, like, either party is like, well, maybe I shouldn't push, like, it affects the natural progression of a relationship, because now you have this situation that you have to you're manipulating for, because you don't know what the outcome will be. So whereas if you have an agreement, everything's predetermined, and you did it at a time when everything was good, then both people know where they stand.
Well, for me, when we got together, obviously there was a lot of like gold digging type of comments thrown my way.
Which I never cared about.
You never cared about, and I didn't care about either, because I knew why I was marrying you. So when you came to me with the whole conversation with the prenup, for me it was, yeah, okay, let's go. Like, I didn't understand the value of it as a woman back then. Now I'm all for it. And I mean, I had a conversation with Nicole, and I was very vocal about how every woman should go and get a prenup. Obviously going and talking to a lawyer and understanding what it is that you want to make sure you'll get and protect yourself with. But I'm very grateful that we had that. And I'm very grateful that you told me, you go to a lawyer,
of course,
ask all the questions.
You have to get ILA, independent legal advice. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I asked questions, and this is a completely different world for me. And it didn't take away from our love or our connection and our relationship, because the way you presented it. For a lot of relationships and couples, I have to tell you,
I didn't use my board of directors as an excuse.
No, but you mentioned them.
I did mention it.
Yeah, which makes sense. Again, you're a very practical guy. You're like, these are the facts. I'm putting them on the table. So I appreciate that.
Just so you know, like you did, I feel like you did exceptionally well in that situation, because in general, when things need to be decided on, there's a lot of unnecessary, we talked about this, there's a lot of unnecessary complexity. And a lot of the times, most of the time, that unnecessary complexity is caused by emotions.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying people should function with a lack of emotions, but they certainly shouldn't function with a lack of logic. So I came in with pretty much, I don't know, 90% logic and 10% emotions. And you came in, I think you came in like 60% logic and 40% emotions. I remember one time you came back from talking to the lawyer and you seemed to be a little upset because that's what lawyers do, right? They're trying to rack up their hourly rate.
Yeah.
So they sat you down for as long as they could and they put the fear of God in you.
I mean, of course,
they painted me out to be a jerk.
For a 20-year-old girl to sit down and talk to a lawyer about this, topic, especially when it tied so closely to the rest of my life and our love, I remember it was very uncomfortable, but I'm really happy that I went through it. And
the only reason, why I really wanted a prenup, now that I'm looking, I haven't thought about this in years, but I'm thinking back, and it was to protect both of us, but it was specifically because I was sure of you. Like, I was sure that I'm going to be with you the rest of my life. Like, to me, there was no uncertainty, none. There still isn't. But I also practically took into consideration, I remembered who I was at 20 and who I was at 38.
Yeah.
And those are two different dudes. And so with you, I knew who you were at 20, but I also knew you were going to transform and could be a completely different person. I remember I didn't want to be both heartbroken and in financial kind of uncertainty.
I mean, that's fair. In our prenup, there is kind of a step type of approach to how much I would get in the case of divorce. How much I would get.
I don't like this. How much I would get. How we would divide assets.
How we divide assets, and that includes also.
But that's an important slip that you just had.
Yeah.
Because that's what women go into a marriage saying, "Oh, this is what I'll get if it breaks down. This is what I'll get." That's not what you get. This is how you divide the assets that you built together.
This is how you divide the assets that you built together, but and the assets that before of what we built together. So that's why it's so important to consult with a lawyer to really understand your.
I've had
your situation. I needed to finish that sentence.
Sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
No,
I get excited. People get mad at me because I interrupt you. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt my wife. I'm just excited to talk. I've had over the years several couples come to me. I don't know why, but they want my advice. So when they're prior to getting married, and they want to talk and ask me about how to navigate this. Maybe because they know that we have a prenup and they think that we did a good job because we get along so well. They ask me, and the conversation always leads to me saying to them, "Don't get married." And they're like, "What?" I'm like, "Don't get married. It's not for you. Marriage isn't for you." And they're like, "What do you mean?" And it would be with both. But I remember I would say to the men, if you think that you're going to enter into a marriage and be married for any amount of time, even for a day, and you think eventually you'll have kids, and then you are going to split up and you're going to just walk out the same you were before you went in, so the marriage isn't for you. You're very risk averse. You should invest in real estate and just watch it compound over time because it's a very safe investment. Or invest in the S&P 500 and just watch it do its compounding, over the, between 8 to 10% a year, hopefully, over time. So yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like people go into marriage thinking that these marriage contracts, and I think we should move on past the whole prenup thing, but I'll just to kind of round it out, people believe that they're going in to protect themselves, to come out the same way they were, both on both sides. It's just not. That's just not the case. If you're not ready, that document isn't protecting you from that. That document is making things fair and equitable in the case of a breakdown of marriage. It's not meant to screw anybody over. It's not meant to leave the woman with nothing after she's given her youth. She's she spent her youth with a man. She's given him children, or they've had children together. That's not what this is for. So I think a lot of people just have the wrong understanding of what this document is for.
I think that was a very important thing that you just said.
I say smart stuff sometimes.
You're so smart, especially today. You're extra smart. It's the breath work.
It must be the breath work.
Okay,
I'll tell you what it is. It's the motorcycle. That clears everything up.
I know. You're such a biker.
Yeah. I took the windshield off to come today.
You're crazy.
Yeah.
Let's talk about planning for financial future.
Okay, what specifically?
We are in a relationship. We are in a marriage where you're...
So we're in a relationship? Are you my girlfriend now?
I'm always your girlfriend.
You look like my girl. Would you be my girlfriend? You know what I say to people when they kind of look at you and they're like, were you married before? Sometimes people ask me if I was married before.
Yeah.
I'd say, you know what, actually Valeria is my second wife. I just skipped my first wife altogether and I just went straight to my midlife crisis, young, beautiful wife. So I just went straight to her. I skipped the first one,
Good job.
Yeah.
I hope you're going to say the same thing when I'm like in my 70s.
You look exactly the same.
I'm talking about, when I'm speaking of planning your financial future, I'm talking about the folder.
Huh?
Dum, dum, dum.
What's a folder?
The folder that we have at the bottom of our safe.
Oh, my life insurance.
Your life insurance and other information. One of the most romantic moments in the past, I would say, year was when we went on a vacation. It was just you and I.
Mm-hmm.
And we were boarding like the boat, and you told me, you know what, I need to sit down and remind you about the folder. And you started kind of sharing and asking me questions like, in case I die, if I this, what happens? If I, like, you were doing a little pop quiz to me. And I just looked at you and I was like, oh, this is my love language. Just like
planning my death?
No.
Planning my death is your love language?
No, the clarity.
It's a good thing I got a motorcycle. You must be happy every day.
God forbid, don't say these things. But, the clarity and security and just knowing that no matter what, we have a plan. So that was a very important moment for me. And I don't know if a lot of people do that.
They're psychopaths. Yeah, because to me, the way I look at it, listen, don't get me wrong, you've got life insurance too. I'm not the only one sitting here with a bounty on my head. No, look, you have to be pragmatic. When you have kids, you got to think this shit through, because if something were to happen to me, like imminently, you would be sad, but you wouldn't miss a beat. Like, you wouldn't be in a situation where you're like, okay, shit, I got to sell the house, I got to downgrade, I got to move somewhere else. Your life wouldn't be disrupted, besides the fact that you'd be sad. Mm-hmm. And I can accept that, because that's just a fact. You're going to be sad. Cool. I can't control that. Mm-hmm. But I at least can have this life insurance policy, which is probably more. Like, we have multiple life insurance policies in different countries and all this stuff. I wouldn't say it's more than we need. It's what I feel comfortable with, because it would allow you and the kids, you would never have to worry about money again. Mm-hmm. Not that you're worrying now, but you wouldn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Right. And you would be able to regroup and figure out your life. I think that's important. It's just really important.
And I remember going to the lawyer, and when we started our, family trust, and we're talking about different scenarios, right? If you're gone, I'm gone. If both of us are gone, like all these scenarios. That was, by the way, such a morbid and difficult.
I know, but you can't look at it that way. That's like going to the dentist.
My emotions were taking over, because these scenarios are not pleasant to talk about. But
you're being childish about it.
But when we left, yes, I am.
Okay.
But when we left, I was like, oh, I'm so happy we did that. I'm so happy that was done, knowing that we took care of it.
Yeah.
And beside the life insurance, if anyone that is in a relationship or in a marriage and hasn't done it yet, can you list some of the things that we've done that can start the process for them? Like, if they go and speak to a lawyer, what can they...
It's not that complex. You need a will and you need life insurance.
Okay. And that's it.
You need a will, you need life insurance. You need to map out kind of where all your assets are.
Mm-hmm.
You need to make sure that your spouse knows where everything is. You need to make sure that if you've got any kind of obscure investments, that your spouse knows. Like, you have to have a list. Okay, if you made an investment in a company, or if you have some equity. And by the way, I haven't tied off all those loose ends, because there's, we do business in a way where we've done deals where I've received, I say I because it's in my name, but I've received consulting shares. So I've received shares in companies for consulting, and I have it, and I haven't transferred. Not that I haven't transferred it. You don't know where it is, but you would need access to it.
Yeah.
So, but they're like, yeah.
So you have work to do.
Yeah, because it's always a moving target.
Yeah, of course. But to me, that folder is something
that's romantic.
Yeah, the folder is romantic. Life insurance will is romantic.
Yeah. So what I'm gonna do next time when I'm trying to seduce you?
Yeah, you'd be like,
I'm gonna be like, hey, you want to go look at the bottom of the safe? You want to go take a look? Huh? You feeling sexy? You know what? So you
instead of the feathers, it can be the
forget about
folder.
the feathers. Don't even go there with the feathers. Here's what we're gonna do. When you're trying to seduce me, you walk in lingerie.
Yeah.
When I'm trying to seduce you, I'm gonna grab the folder from the safe. Hey, baby, how you feeling tonight, huh?
This is so TMI.
Why? No, it is. I don't think so. So, okay, basically for all the guys who are listening, the two of you guys who are listening, if you want to romance your wife, if you want to get her in the mood, just go get the life insurance, put it in a folder, and put "in case I die" or "for when I die" on the folder, and then walk into the bedroom being like, hey. And that's it.
I think you're on to something.
This is going to be a big improvement. All of these sex therapists, now we don't need them anymore.
They're done. Yeah.
We don't need them anymore.
We have solved the problem.
And it's not that expensive either. I mean, if you get a decent life insurance plan, whatever your monthly fees are, if you think, okay, so here's the added benefit to life insurance. Not only do you have the life insurance, which in case something happens to you, your wife and your kids are taken care of, but in addition to that, you're going to have a much better sex life because you can walk around with this thing. And as a result of having a much better sex life, you're just going to be a happier and more productive person. And by being a more happier and productive person, you're going to make more money.
Gary,
you know what you do with the extra money?
What?
You increase your life insurance. Brilliant. I cracked the whole code of life just now.
Also, I just think that you brought a lot of, if this is a marketing angle life insurance companies will go with, there's going to be a revival.
I better get commission. Okay.
It's a revival of life insurance.
So you know what?
Industry.
Here's what I want. I want Rachel, who is the CEO of Valeria Inc. Rachel, I'm talking to you now. Please take this clip. Okay. I want you to make a nice PDF presentation, and I want to circulate this to all the life insurance companies in the world, pitching me as their spokesperson. Okay, you pitch me as their spokesperson for the life insurance.
I think that's brilliant.
Billions with a B. We're going to make billions. You heard it here first. I will be the spokesperson. They will be fighting. There will be a bidding war to get me as a spokesperson for life insurance. They will, because all the men are going to be lining up because they want to improve their sex life. I'm telling you.
I'm here for this. Let's talk about how we're setting our kids up for financial success.
Let's talk about it. I'm not scared.
Let's talk about it.
Okay. How do we set them up for financial success?
Yeah.
Listen, it's mostly education and mindset.
Yeah, 100%.
That's what it is. So I don't think when you ask what vehicles, financial vehicles, there are these, the stuff for the kids in terms of their college and stuff. To be really honest, I'm not that well versed in it. I haven't really subscribed to it because I remember years ago I took meetings about it and it just didn't seem like a good return. So to me, I would rather have that money sitting in stock portfolios. Especially if you can have stock portfolios that, like in Canada it's called a TFSA. Here it's called a Roth IRA. If you can have money in these stock portfolios that grow tax free, I'd have to reinvestigate it. I looked into the ones in Canada and I only skimmed the ones here, like the actual vehicles for like children's investments. And I think a lot of them are meant for your money to grow, and then the government contributes something, so then you can pay college tuitions. I don't know if I want to sign up for that because, in my opinion, the way colleges are going, I don't know that that's going to be necessarily their road to success.
Yeah.
I see a trend that it's going a very different way. Although I want them to be educated, that education may not be in the form of like formal post-secondary education. But in terms of the steps we take, a lot of it is education. A lot is like explaining things to them, talking to them, the school that they go to.
I saw this, I think a psychologist was talking about it, where it's so important to over-index on the people that are around us outside of the family, friends, because at some point, kids, even without it being so direct, they indirectly get influenced so much by that environment and those mindset, the conversations that are being held in that circle. And, even when they reach an age where they're kind of starting to resist what we're saying, when they hear our friends say that, that's going to impact them way more.
Yeah.
So I think that is extremely important. And I think that's a beautiful indirect education.
It's environment, right?
For
it's environment.
Success in life.
It's environment.
Yeah.
Listen, it's funny because I choose our friends because when our kids look at who we're friends with, that I think that I firmly believe will have the highest impact on them. And you know what the funny thing is after these people leave and after they're not in the room anymore and I'm putting Ben to sleep, Ben starts asking me questions, and it's deep. He gets deep about like business and about just like the whole encompassing way of moving through the world in order to succeed. So that to me is what I'm doing for the kids.
Yeah. You're doing an amazing job.
Outside of like the stock investments that compound annually in a tax sheltered environment that will eventually hopefully be theirs, but hopefully they won't need it. I've had talks recently with Ben about money.
Really? What was the conversation?
Yeah, he's like, so Papa, like I really like this house, like our house where we live. And I said, okay, great. So you're going to give me this house, right? I go, no, I'm not going to give it to you. He goes, why? You don't need it when you're dead. I go, I'm going to sell this house before I die and I'm going to party. What do you mean? I'm going to spend all my money. He's going to mean no money. He goes, what do you mean, no money for me? I go, no money for you. He goes, I'm with my brothers. Nothing. I said, I'm partying it all away. You got to go make your own money. Yeah. And I told him, I go, what do you think? I'm breaking my head. I'm paying for this. Like we're paying for this private school. We're doing all of this stuff for you to get you in these right places. We're living in, all this. I go, that's our investment into you, but you got to go and take it. But straight money, you're not going to get.
Yeah.
He goes, okay, will you sell me the house? I go, yeah, I'll sell you the house. He goes, give me a good, he asked me, it's when we went on that 2-hour walk the other day. He goes, were you going to give me a good deal? I said, I'll get it to you at market. Don't worry. But market at the time, not market now.
I love it. I won't be surprised if you'll come with a little piece of paper to try to actually get it in the market price right now.
Let him try.
I love it. I think you're doing a great job.
Thanks.
So you're educating all of us, myself included.
I feel you're like extra impressed with me today. It makes me
feel nice. Do
feel
you feel the energy?
Yeah, I feel you're extra impressed. It makes me feel good when you think well of me.
First of all, I always think well of
Not
you,
always.
But I have to say that I don't know if it's the motorcycle, the breathwork. I just love you showed up today.
I came in a bad mood.
I know you did. That's why I'm extra impressed, because you showed up today and you were able to change your state of being. You mentioned how you've evolved when it comes to money. From when you were 38 to now. I want to know how you've evolved, because you evolving is also us evolving as a family.
I just don't care anymore. The key barrier that needs to be crossed in any human being's life, and some people do it early, is that once you no longer have a need and this like burning desire for external validation, your life just unlocks. Things really open up. Like I can give you an example. My motorcycle. It's not a status symbol. Motorcycles, relatively are not expensive. They're expensive, like holistically they're expensive. For some people, it's a year of salary. I understand that. But relatively speaking, it's not expensive. Meaning, if I would have spent 15 times more money, I would have had a Lamborghini.
Right.
Would I enjoy a Lamborghini as much as my motorcycle? Not even close. So what's the net result of owning a Lamborghini over a Harley Davidson? Is that the Lamborghini is this external symbol. It's a symbol so that externally people look at you and say, oh, that's somebody. And in Miami, there's a lot of this. There's a lot of people walking around. That's why I'm embarrassed about this logo. Even though I like this company a lot, but I'm embarrassed about the fact that I have to go and advertise this because I don't need to. Once you're over that external validation, life just unlocks. And like with my motorcycle, I do it because I love it. Like I enjoy it. I don't care if people see me and say, like, he's successful, or even if he's cool. Although people do stop and give me the thumbs up a lot. They do give me.
So you do care.
No, that's just more.
You like the external.
It's children. It's 6-year-olds. It's not like adults, right? It's little kids who are like they get excited and they want to take pictures with my motorcycle.
We've come a long way. I know if you guys been following us for a while, you remember the era of like Gary's Balenciaga stuff. Like he was just You were doing the most.
Honestly, even from the beginning of my Balenciaga era, I just really liked the fit. For my build, it was just a good fit. It wasn't too boxy, but it wasn't like slim. It just sat on me well. And to me, actually, the logos were a drawback. I would always go in and I would say to them, just, do you have something with like minimal amount of logos? I want the smallest logos possible. And unfortunately, all their stuff has logos.
But what about those Gucci shorts?
The Gucci shorts? But I thought it was subtle, the logos. I guess not.
Back in the day, it was subtle for you. I get it. But yeah, we've come a long way. And it's so funny that it happened when we moved to Miami more than anything.
Well, this is the cap. Well, I just realized here, it's like, I'm not even playing this game. I'm not entering into this stupid arena.
Exactly. It's just so in your face that you starting to have an adverse reaction to it.
Adverse? I don't know. We'll figure out
adverse. You're right. Adverse reaction to it. But it's not even that. It's like you're starting to see, behind the smoke screen.
I just think that I don't know about Canada, but here I feel the more you're dripping, the less you have, and the people who are actually accomplished think you're a clown. And so now my definition of success and my definition of affluency and my definition of wealth, it's just changed. It's no longer the brands and the, and all this stuff. I still appreciate I like cars. I like nice cars. Now I like motorcycles. I still appreciate nice watches, but now I actually don't want the watch that everybody has.
Yeah.
Right? I want the watch that's a little off the beaten path. That's only those who know, but only a small amount of people know. But I don't even care about those guys. I just want it for myself. Anyways, that's a whole other story. I want to talk about creator method because this is something that I'm really excited about. And this, maybe it's a shameless plug. Maybe I'm just excited. Maybe it's both. It doesn't matter. It is what it is. I'm really excited about this. This is probably one of the most rewarding professional endeavors that I've ever had. And my most enjoyable and rewarding endeavor was Valeria Inc. was and continues to be, my participation in building your personal brand and seeing people's reaction. When we got off the stage the other day at VCon and there was like this lineup of people who wanted to talk to you. And it wasn't, by the way, it wasn't just fans. When I say just, not to demean fans, but in addition to the fans, there were business people. I had a very serious like executive approach me, who's the founder of a very like big CPG operation, who's like, I want to partner with you guys to create something really meaningful, and whether that happens or not, but people were really there to see you. So that's my most kind of fulfilling business endeavor, has been helping and contributing to your personal brand. But what I've taken now is I've taken this participation with you from day one, quite frankly, the coaching, not to take anything away from you, but I was coaching you and I still do, Yes. Are you agreeing?
Yeah.
You don't seem sure.
Now I started coaching you.
I'm not talking about that.
I know. Yes.
So all of the things that I did and continue to do with you, I'm now applying to these first 100 members, and it's very rewarding for me. It's very rewarding when I get and because they're DMing me, they're texting me, we're talking, and when they say to me, Gary, like I did basically like, not only it's about like I did what you and Valeria and Rachel said I should do. They're just like, the community is helping me, and like knowing that we put this community together, knowing that we put the curriculum out there, knowing that we did all of this and we continue to do all of this, and they have the support system that honestly I don't feel any other creator had besides you on this planet with me. And now I'm able to invest that into them, and I'm seeing their growth, and I get so excited.
Yeah.
I get so excited because I know that 100 members will turn into 1,000 to 10,000 to 100,000. And I feel it. I'm manifesting this global movement because I know how lonely it is. I know how hard it is. I know how difficult it is for these women. And I say women because it's all women. It's one man. You know that one man signed up?
Our first one. I love it.
One man signed up, and it's funny because he was on the webinar and he had a question, and I said, just so you know, it's all women. You're welcome to join, but it's all women. So I don't know if it's going to be relevant to kind of content.
Maybe it'll be more creating. Relevant.
It might be. And so he went and he went and he joined anyways, and I saw that he joined. So I reached out to Ulduz, who's our community manager, who we actually hired because she was one of the members.
Yeah.
And she's reached out to him and she's booking a meeting with him. I want to talk to him and understand what the hell's going on. Like what's up. Anyways, so I find that very rewarding. So, plug, if you're listening to this, if you're watching this, go to creatormethod.com and apply. If you have thought about being a content creator, if you're on the fence, and I want you to know that half of our members haven't even started yet. They're at their very beginning stages. They either haven't started or they're like at 50 to 100, maybe 200 followers. So it's not too early. We have members at hundreds of thousands of followers. We even have one with 1 million plus. So it's for everybody at every stage. And it's just, again, it's what I'm really most proud of right now.
I love it. And I'm proud of you for taking that risk, because it was a project that you kind of took on and developed, and, was an investment of money and time and energy and mental capacity. And it's really beautiful to see what it's becoming.
The risk would have been not to do it.
And I think that's your philosophy in general, in business and in life.
But
the risk is not to do it.
I was waiting for the right person to come along to help me create it. And that's Alex Nazarov, our general manager.
Yeah.
I was waiting to meet that person. And just as a lesson to content creators, I met Alex as a result of having Alvaro on my podcast, right? And I was asking every guest on my podcast if they had a person who had expertise in doing this and creating this kind of a community/academy.
Yeah.
And on my 20th podcast, Alvaro said, I have a guy, Alex, for you. And I met Alex. So when you're creating content, for all the content creators out there, I just want you to remember that good things come from creating content. You'll find your way, you'll find your path, you'll find your tribe, you'll find the way to monetize. You just got to put in the work and the effort.
This was wonderful. Thank you so much for coming. The next time I'm going to have you here, we're going to go through all the comments of people shitting on you.
Yeah, but I like it. What they don't understand is that I like it.
You guys, I don't think you understand. In the last couple of episodes, because Gary's now been getting more comfortable. Actually, both of us, we're getting more comfortable in the setting and really like opening up and speaking our minds. There's been just such a wave of emotions and opinions and comments about Gary that I was like, there's just so much gold in here. I want to dive into it and I want to talk about it. So that's what we're going to do next time. But thank you so much for coming. I love you so much.
I love you too.
Thank you so much for watching this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't miss my newest episode right here. And if you're listening to the podcast on Apple or Spotify, please go and leave a review with your biggest takeaway. I love reading your thoughts. And if you have any suggestions for guests or topics, you can leave them in the comment section. And always, always remember, you are not alone.